Hello there, YouTube. Devin here again. And today we're going to talk about a question I get asked quite frequently, especially when people find out I collect helmets and stuff like that. Other than the normal people telling me that that's fucking weird. Sure, maybe it is fucking weird. But whatever, I like to do it, so I'm not going to judge you for what you like to do, because you know what? I probably won't like what you like to do. But one of the most frequently asked questions I get is what helmet is best, or what helmet should I buy? And I normally tell them that's a very, very hard question to answer, because I take a lot of consideration into the helmets that I like to use, and that I would prefer, and it all comes into a lot of factors. Now, one of the first things I'll normally ask people is like, do you have any weight issues? Do you think you could wear a helmet for a long period of time? Are you concerned about longevity of your helmet? Do you live in an urban or do you live in a rural environment? What's your price range? There's a ton of different factors. Well, what scenarios do you see yourself in? Okay, but honestly, what it come down to is I think it can come down to a couple factors. And your price range being one of the major factors. Another thing is that I've kind of narrowed it down to mostly 3 or 4 kind of factors into what helmet you should get. Like, how much are you willing to spend? How long do you want to be wearing it? Because you're going to want a helmet that's comfortable. Because, a helmet you're not wearing doesn't do you any good. What other stuff are you using the helmet with in conjunction with? Because you don't want a helmet that's going to interfere with your other gear. And what would you rather have, composite or metal? And so is what it really comes down to. Now, that's just what I think. There's a ton of other factors in there, and tons of other little details and things we can get in, but what really matters is I think those 4 factors. So now, in today's day and age, I hear people bitch about all these old helmets and stuff like that and all these problems they had, and I'm like, yeah, but the thing is, you only hear about that today. If a helmet had problems and there was enough big problems on it, a country got rid of it, okay? That's how it worked. They innovated, okay? But if they couldn't afford to get another helmet, if they couldn't afford to upgrade, if they couldn't afford to make changes or anything like that, you really didn't hear problems because you didn't join the army to bitch. You joined the army to do a job. So when I hear people bitching about how they hear people with these old helmets and stuff like that, all the problems I have, I'm like, every problem has helmets, okay? Every problem has helmets, all right? Every helmet has problems. That's how it works, okay? Helmets are going to interfere with packs. Helmets are going to interfere while you're prone. Helmets are going to do everything, all right? Helmets are going to block your vision. They're going to impair your hearing. They're going to do pretty much everything to make your life worse, okay? But the thing is, your life might not end as soon by wearing one. That's the trade-off, okay? So when I ask opinions about helmets and stuff like that, don't tell me all the shortcomings, because I know all the shortcomings that every helmet can possibly have, because they're all the same for every helmet since the beginning of fucking time. Okay? But I hear it over and over again about how they heard about some guy who knew some guy who said this was stupid because it would block his vision when he would lay down. Well, then don't fucking lay down. All right? Or if you do, too bad. Deal with it. It's better than dying. So that's how that works. Just a little bit of rant there. But back to the task at hand. Picking a helmet that's good for you. Now, picking this helmet that's good for you, okay, it's going to come down to price. Well, what I have here is a really nice steel helmet. Steel helmet's still in use because it achieves a relatively good purpose. Has a pretty good protection rating because of its design. It's also going to be substantially cheaper than a composite design, all right? It's also lighter than the composite design. Now what we have here is the Romanian M73-80. because the difference is the badge pretty much. So if you have an M73, it'll have a badge on the front, and if you have an M7380, it won't have a badge on the front. And the American ECH helmet, which is like the Rolls Royce of composite helmets right now. But these are actually two pretty expensive helmets for their design. There's a lot simpler options out there. There's a lot better options out there, because in your traditional military environment, these both make sense. Okay? But as a civilian going about, just wanting something in case something would ever go down, whatever apocalypse you want to imagine, zombie, blah, 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 nuclear, something like that, a helmet's probably a good thing to have, because helmet's going to keep your head safe. But do you necessarily need a military helmet for that? No, not really. Because chances are, during an apocalypse or something like that, or a really bad something or other, helmet's not really going to do all that much good for you, okay? And the only thing you really should be judging a helmet on is, I've said it before and I've said it again, everyone says, well, how bulletproof is a helmet? Helmets were never designed to be bulletproof, okay? The first ever helmet, all right, mass issued, that is entirely bulletproof and was designed to stop a threat with bullets in mind is this, the ECH right here. All right. Every other helmet is rated for shrapnel, bump, and maybe smaller caliber handguns. But smaller caliber handguns are often used in testing to represent shrapnel, which is why you see rated for 9mm FMJ. Because you can't effectively just set an explosion off, okay, with shrapnel and next to a helmet and judge how it's going to work, because it's going to be different every single time. It's not a controlled environment. So, but a 9mm is reminiscent of most shrapnel. So that's why you see a lot of helmets rated for 9mm FMJ, because it's an easy to test, controllable environment for testing, the effectiveness of a helmet. So when people are like, it didn't stop bullets very well. Well, yeah, helmet's not designed to stop bullets. Most helmets aren't designed to stop bullets. The most 99% of the time, what a helmet is designed to stop is bump protection. All right, you know what bump protection is? For those of you who aren't from a military background, which I know is a lot of you on my channel are, but some of you aren't. Bump protection is bumping your head. It's exactly what it sounds. All right. So if you've ever bumped your head, all right, your helmet's gonna protect you from bumping your head. That's 99% of the problems military helmets are encountering right now. That's 99% of the hits they take in the war zone are bump protection. People falling over, people hitting their head on the top of vehicles, people, climbing through rubble and stuff like that, people crawling through stuff. It's just, they're bumping their head. That's all. 99%. That's on a battlefield in a war zone. That's 99% of the hits a helmet takes are bump. Okay? You can go down to Walmart and buy a bicycle helmet, and it'll accomplish the same job as a military helmet for a lot less. But some of you want something a little bit more rigid, something a little bit more uses, something that can stop a bullet maybe, okay, if you live in a more urban environment. When I say that you need a Kevlar helmet if you live in a very rural environment where you have a lot of land, where you can hunt and stuff on your land and you're not too worried about people coming out to get you, no, you really don't need a composite helmet. But a steel helmet might be something good to have around, because it can have other uses in the meantime. A lot of steel helmets can double as cooking pots, even though it's going to make your helmet worse, because it ruins the temper on the steel. It can serve as a water bucket. It can be used as a shovel. It can be used, a steel helmet is like a multi-tool. You can do tons with it that you can't do with a composite helmet. So that's just that. But there's other options out there. Now, normally what I tell people is like, if you have money issues, all right, if you live in an urban environment, I'd say get a PASCAT. PASCATs are cheap, they're readily available, and they're effective, okay? They're heavy, though. They're very, very heavy. That's their trade-off. They're going to impair your hearing, they're going to impair your vision, and they might interfere with some of the other gear you're using, just because they offer so much coverage. Now, if you live in rural environment, or you have problems with finances, I recommend something like an SSH 68. okay, which is another helmet being used. Now, this isn't an SSH-68. This is an SSH-68N, but it's the outer shell of this helmet is reminiscent of an SSH-68. Now, what makes these helmets so effective, still in use, is you see how they're very sloped. Now, slope was something that we truly, really didn't figure out in a military application until World War II. But the thing is, you want something that's either very, very round, all right? Like you see these modern Kevlar helmets, how they're all very, very round, all right? Or you want something that's very, very sloped. Because what it's going to do is it's going to increase the armor rating of your helmet. Now, it doesn't apply so much to Kevlar's, the shape, because they're designed to absorb and transfer energy elsewhere. Whereas steel is going to deflect. So if somebody hit, unless they hit you straight on, which is very hard to do because that's only a small window of area, chances are it'll deflect shrapnel away. Now, a lot of people think steel helmets aren't as good. Now, that's not necessarily true. There's a lot of steel helmets that'll stop a 9mm, just like Kevlar helmets will. The SSH-68, there's plenty of videos out there of people shooting them where most 9mm shots won't go through. They'll bounce off. You might get some deformation in there, but they'll bounce off. And that's the same thing if you shot a PASGAT. Now, I have a PASGAT here, actually, and we'll get that up there. Because it's something that, if you are looking for more money, here's the PASGAT. Now, I have the cover on it, but it's kind of the Stahlhelm shape from World War II. So, I have other PASGAT videos. You can see plenty of them. If you don't know what a PASGAT looks like without the cover, you can go scroll through my other videos and take a look at one. And I'll give you some more background information on that helmet out there. But both these helmets will stop 9mm. The steel one's going to be way, way cheaper. You can find them for under $20. The SSH-68, you can find them under $20. It'll stop a 9mm. All right? PASGATs can range a lot in price, and it's only rated to stop a 9mm. So it comes down to what you need, what your interface is, what do you plan on doing with it. There's a lot of factors when it comes into buying a helmet and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm always willing to help people. I have a lot of helmets. I have a shit ton of helmets laying around, and we can figure out something that's more comfortable for you. We can figure out something that's right for you. We can figure out, what your size is, what you need, what kind of liner do you want. I personally like suspension type liners. All right, a lot of people like the pad type liners. I like the low maintenance of the suspension type liners as well as the breathability. I like a liner that keeps your head away from the shell, so kind of older steel helmets like Stahlhelms and stuff like that aren't very good. You don't really want a liner like this where your head is going to be very close to the shell. All right, but this liner's not actually a good representation because it's actually actually because it's right against the shell. So if you take a bump hit or an explosion or a bullet or something, it's going to slam the helmet into the side of your head, and that's not good. But you can see in here the suspension, how it keeps your head away from, it flexes. It keeps your head away from the shell. So that's something you want on a modern battlefield or in a modern tactical environment or whatever you need it for. That's going to help protect your head in the long run. But so you want something that's going to fit your needs. Do you want something that's, light? Do you want something that works with your gear? You want something that fits in your price range? You want something that you feel like you have the means to be able to take care of? So honestly, what I direct a lot of people towards is, a lot of people are, all those COD players and all those Battlefield players and everything want the latest and greatest. But the thing is, that's expensive, and it's actually very hard to maintain if you don't have a whole supply chain behind you. So steel's often the way I direct people. I'm like, you can get an SSH-68, all right? And the liner's relatively easy to maintain and repair as long as you know how to sew, all right? And you could find string. The helmet will run forever, all right, as long as you take care of it. Whereas a PASGAT and everything else on these other composite materials, even if you're taking the most immaculate care of it, it's still going to get worse and worse with age because the Kevlar breaks down on an atomic level. So it's going to get worse and worse no matter what you do. Whereas steel, as long as you keep it from rusting and corroding away, it's going to be the same. It's always going to be the same. So that's just some gripes and stuff I have there, and hopefully you guys kind of like these rants, because you do tend to like these rants, because I get a lot of stuff out there that a lot of people don't seem to think of, or a lot of people do seem to think of, but they just don't hear it out loud very much. So I figured I'd get this out there, give you guys some play-by-plays on some of the helmets and how to choose something for you. And if you're looking to buy a helmet, all right, and you need some help, drop me a line in the comments. We can certainly work some stuff out, all right? I can help you, figure out which helmet is going to be best for you, okay? And I have a lot of pretty good options available based on pretty much every price range and every environment you can imagine. So hopefully you like this video and you subscribe if you like this sort of thing. Thank you so much for watching. Continue to leave comments and feedback in my videos, all the stories you have from other people and stuff like that. Just make sure they're good. All right? I don't want to hear generic answers like this helmet got in the way when we went prone. Well, that's helmets today will even do that if you don't have the suspension adjusted correctly, the chin strap and everything. So, I don't want to hear stuff like that, cuz it's across the board. Every helmet will do that if you're not using it absolutely perfectly. So, but I very much like to hear your user experiences, stuff you run with, stuff you like, particular features you like on a helmet, camouflages that work very, very well in your environment, stuff like that. I like to hear all that stuff because it allows me to expand my knowledge to help other people and to make better videos. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.